Oh man. Okay. Episode 6 of Season 2, Spider in the Web. It's exciting again. Okay, so, I don't know, I had a couple of off days there where I was like, whatever, B5. But now I'm back. I'm really back into being excited about this. So, this one was tons of fun. It's another murder mystery, kinda. Well, first it is. But then it goes deeper. And there's zombie cyborgs, and Psychor is being evil again, and there's this thing called Bureau 13. I love the fact that Sheridan is apparently a collector of information about conspiracy theories, which is awesome. That's just a fun hobby. I love the little bits with Garibaldi and Talia interacting and kind of telling each other stories. That was sweet. I don't know. Yeah, but okay, the ending. Okay, so first of all, cyber zombies, that's creepy. And, like, super horrifying. The idea of them reliving their death over and over, kind of just so that as the computer just takes over, and then what? The mind of the person is in this eternal torment. It's just awful, and I love it. And I love that, I love that Psychor is getting back into the story again, just like, we don't have, like, it's not just the shadow people, that's like one threat we're worrying about. No, now we've got this other, we're going to get back and talk about this other threat that's a little bit, more central to Earth and Mars and stuff. And I kind of love how the show has this backstory to all of this stuff. Just it has such a history of things that happened before the show started, not just with the war, but with even before that, and like the Mars Rebellion and all this other stuff, and how our characters interacted with, participated in various things. And it's just, I don't know, it just feels more like a real universe because there's so much history and conflict. What was I saying? Oh, right, I was talking about the history. Yeah, it just makes it seem like a more like the world they live in is real. I had some other stuff I wanted to make note of. Alright, the very ending. So, first of all, it amuses me that apparently San Francisco is a wasteland. Second of all, Bureau 13. So this is a thing that exists. And it seems Psychor's connected to it in some way. And Talia lied when she said that she didn't see anything in Abel Horn's memories, because she did. She saw this woman who is in Bureau 13 who isn't dead, even though the thing says she's... Oh my god, wouldn't it be creepy if it turned out she was actually also a cyborg zombie? That would be really creepy. Yes, so it's exciting. And to wrap it up, Abel Horn sounds like a porn name. It just does. So, yes, very exciting, and I'm super looking forward to seeing where this is going. Okay, episode 7, Soulmates. I'm sorry, I'm just like, wait, why is that the title? I didn't even really read it before. Okay, so this one was lots of fun. It was funny, and there was a lot of Londo, of which I definitely approve because he's fun. In this one, his 3 wives come to the station because he asked the Emperor or the Emperor was like, I will grant you 1 wish, and he was like, my wish is that I can divorce my wives because I don't like them, and the Emperor was like, okay, but keep 1. Meanwhile, this ex-husband of Talia's has shown up and is like super creepy. And just, he whispers all of his lines like a total creep. And it's like, oh yeah, Psychor, he used to be in Psychor, and he's like, oh yeah, they did experiments on me, and then I wasn't telepathic anymore, so they kicked me out. And then Talia and Garibaldi figure out that that's bullshit. He's actually he's not exactly telepathic, but he has a different sort of mental power. They say he's an empath, but like, in my experience of fiction, empaths are like, I can feel your feelings, but he's more like, I can make you think things. It's kind of like Charles Xavier, when he's all just like, you will and when he's not just reading people's minds, but when he's influencing them. Except, nobody really realizes what's going on until the end. But that's fun. So it's just, it was amusing. I correctly predicted which of Londo's wives he was going to keep. And I actually really liked her. Because she was for real. Like, she was like, yeah, I straight up don't like you, and I'm not going to pretend that I do. And she was cool. Plus, she donated blood to save his life, but was like, do not tell him I did this, because seriously. Oh, it was by Peter David, which is exciting for me, because I love Peter David. And there was a couple of scenes where Delenn is all like, Ivanova, how do you hair? And Ivanova is just like, okay, fine, I will sit here and brush your hair. And Lanier was in it. I haven't seen Lanier in what feels like ages, and I love him, so I was happy. Plus, he was just like, because Londo had some sort of, I don't know, 30th anniversary of his ascension, whatever that is. But he had a party, and Lanier gave him a deck of cards, and then Lanier's all like, I marked them like you instructed, and he's like, oh man. Yeah, just lots of laughs. And also lots of, God, this guy's a creep. Such a creep. And Talia's like, well, if you can make me not telepathic, okay, I'll leave with you. And I was like, Talia, what the fuck are you doing? This guy's such a creep. But then she changed her mind. So I'm not sure if it was like he was influencing her, or if she honestly just changed her mind off screen for no reason. Yeah. So, that one gets thumbs up, and it was funny, and it was enjoyable, and I like pretty much anything that has tons of Londo in it, because he is always just really entertaining. So, I approve. Yeah, so, the end. Hey-ho. So I'm going to have to keep this one quick because it's late and I don't want to wake anybody up. But I just watched episode 8, A Race Through Dark Places. Loved it. Super great. Psychor was there. There was all sorts of shenanigans and funny times. Let's see, I had a couple of notes. Sinclair says... Not Sinclair. Sheridan. His name is Sheridan. Says abso-friggin-lutely, which amused me. Because it's one of my favorite words. I now officially ship Delenn and Sheridan, because I cannot help it, and also the third note was that she looked really, really nice in that human dress thing. It was at first I was like, what is going on? But, I really, really enjoyed it, and it was kind of like, one thing that I thought was a little bit funny was they were like, oh, by the way, remember, guys, the last season, Talia got all these extra powers from her ex-boyfriend or whatever, who, like, ascended into a sparkly being, and now she can move pennies? I'd completely forgotten. Mostly because the show never brought her up again. Which is a little weird. Yeah. But yeah, there were lots of fun times. I mean, all the character interactions going on. Like, this is an excellent episode. And there was kind of like the plot. Bester came back. Bester. I love Bester. I always get really excited when he's around. But Bester's back. And there was some Underground Railroad telepaths trying to not be involved with Psychor. And it was kind of cool that Dr. Franklin was involved with that. I didn't feel... I mean, I guess it felt a little bit like it was just kind of like, wow, what? But I suppose if it had to be any of the characters, he's the one that makes most sense. Because I'm trying to imagine it being, say, Garibaldi, it just doesn't work. So, yes. Another excellent episode. and I'm very much looking forward to the next one. Okay, episode 9, The Coming of Shadows. So this was like 42 minutes of intensity and heartbreak, with one scene that made me grin like a loon. Oh my god. So, okay, in this one, a war begins, because it's just, everything is so awful. Fucking Londo was all like, I'm gonna blow up another Narn colony with my connections to this shady shadow guy, and I'm like, what are you doing? You asshole, you horrible human being. Well, not human being. You horrible Centauri person. What? That is not acceptable. Stop. And then, oh my god, the scene where Jakar is all just like, sup, Londo, I have restored faith in humanity because the Emperor said something nice, and because the Emperor wanted to apologize for the atrocities your people committed against mine. Yay, let's drink to that. And it's like right after Londo decides that he's gonna get this colony destroyed, but before anybody finds out, before it happens, and you're like, oh my god, everything is awful. Poor Jakar, his spirit is crushed once again, or rather not his spirit, his faith in niceness of the universe is crushed once again, and there's a war on now, and the Emperor dies, and like everyone dies, and Londo's asshole Centauri friend is an asshole. And Veer disapproves, and it's just super intense. I made so many faces during this episode. Faces like, faces of horror, and faces of heartbreak, and one face of glee, because it was actually kind of funny. Like, there's this guy following Garibaldi around, and then Garibaldi is like, stop following me, and puts him in a holding cell. And then all this other shit's going down. But then some guy, one of the other security guys, is like, so the prisoner wants to talk to you. And Garibaldi's like, okay, fine. And I was like, oh, he's trying to get a subplot, but everything else is way more important than him. But, for some reason I thought that was funny at the time. Yeah, anyway, so, turns out that this guy has a message from an old friend. How do I feel about that? Sinclair, my boyfriend's back, for like a scene where he talks in he has really disconcerting hair now. I don't, something's different. I guess it's longer. Whatever. So, okay, so Sinclair apparently not only is an ambassador to the Minbari, but he's also up to something else that he doesn't really say what it is. But he says that he's got all these people working for him who he's got, like, I guess, scouting for information and whatnot, and like he's like, something crazy is gonna go down soon, and oh my god, he says the scariest thing. He says, you know, just watch out for the shadows, because, you know, sometimes they move when you're not looking, and I'm like, oh my god, don't! So, that's horrifying. Shadows are scary, okay? Like, I'm just imagining this dark corridor in B5 with, like, shadows, which make perfect sense, but then you realize the shadows are moving and coming across the floor, and, like, there's no reason for them to be doing it, because they're shadows, and there's nothing moving. Anyway, creepy. So, yes, this one was super, super intense. I had notes. Oh. Okay, one of them had to do with Sinclair. That's not important. Then, oh, Londo, no! As soon as he's just like, I have a way that we can get rid of this colony. And I'm like, no! Stop! Which is still how I feel about it. Londo, stop it. Stop it. I want to like you. I find you entertaining. You need to stop being a horrible person. God. So yeah, that was super, super, super intense. Oh my god. And for some reason, the first note I made on it was clothes. Because I guess when the episode began, before any of the intense shit went down, I was just like looking at the clothes the characters were wearing and just being impressed. But I'm not sure if it's like they had more of a budget in the second season, or if I'm just noticing this now all of a sudden. But it seems like everybody's clothes are so fabulous, except with the exception being when the humans characters aren't in uniform, because, or maybe that they just have a tendency to wear like really weird clothes, which I think is just because it's the 90s, trying to predict the future. But there's a couple of shirts Garibaldi has worn on the show where I'm like, why? But also shirts where I'm like, I'm pretty sure my dad owns a shirt like that. Why? Not in a good way. So it's really not relevant, just whatever, I was digging it. And then for like 5 minutes, and then the plot kicked in and everything started escalating to the levels of insanity, and I didn't care what anyone was wearing anymore. So, oh my god, everything happened in this episode. So, really that's, yeah. Everything happened, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Narn and Centauri being at war with each other is going to affect everything else. Like, are other people going to side with one side or the other? Like, what's going to happen there? Oh, and also Kosh makes an appearance to be cryptic, incidentally, so, you know, that was fun. So yeah. Alright, episode 10 of season 2, Gropos. So, that happened, I don't know. Basically, we met Dr. Franklin's father, who's this general, and he brought a shit ton of troops to Babylon 5 to hang out there for like 3 days before they go on to fight some sort of battle. Which has nothing to do with the Narn versus Centauri conflict. It's just something else entirely that's going on. Some sort of a rebellion, somewhere that the Earth has agreed to help with. I have questions. And the main one right now is, what exactly is Earth Force? Because, as far as I can tell, they're not the same thing as the Army. Or is that just like different branches? Is it like Earth Force is the entirety of everything, and then just like these ground pounders, as they call them, are kind of well, they describe them as the infantry. But, you know, they're like the Army, while our main characters on the show are more like, you know, because you have like Army, Navy, Marines, and what? The fourth, I guess, would be space. You know, Air Force. And then like space. Is that what Earth Force is? Is that like the Air Force in space? You can answer that, by the way. This is not rhetorical. I'm just like, what is going on? Is it like Starfleet? But I understand Starfleet. Okay, whatever. So other than that, I was pretty much just like, about this whole episode, because I mean, there were some things I liked. There was like, okay, I guess the problem is that I don't care about Dr. Franklin. Like, pretty much invariably, whenever he has a plot or subplot, I'm like, I don't give a shit. And I was trying, but like, I don't know why. He's just not interesting to me. I'm like, whatever. He's the doctor. Although I spent a lot of this episode being like, Dr. Franklin, are you like 20 years older than you look? Because you have all of this history that you keep talking about, like all these, like, what you were doing during the last war and stuff. And I'm like, bro, the last war was like 10 years ago. How old are you? Because for some reason I got the impression you weren't that old, and it takes a long time to go through like doctor school. You know, and whatever military training you need to be in Earth Force, unless you don't need me, but who knows? You don't know what's going on. But anyway, it was all just about his relationship with his father, and I was like, I don't care. I mean, there was one nice scene where he was talking with Ivanova, who was like, seriously, just tell the guy how you feel, talk to him, because I made the mistake of not doing that, and my dad's dead. So, you know. And, like, the rest of the episode was mostly about, I don't even know what it was about. What the hell happened? I sat there for 45 minutes or whatever. I don't know what I was watching. There's all this stuff with, like, that guy who's trying to be a character whose name I can never remember. The fighter pilot guy. So he's still trying to be a character, and he had a subplot where they had to bunk a couple of soldiers in his room because there's a ton of them and they don't have nowhere for them all to sleep. And he ends up becoming friends with them. They're both pretty cool. Then there was this other cool soldier that I liked a lot, who, because she got into awesome fights and, like, kicked people in the face, just, like, straight up, like, well, I'm gonna kick you in the face, and, like, wow. She and Garibaldi kind of had a thing going for, like, 5 seconds until he utterly ruined it by overthinking everything, and then she was just like, oh my god, I wanted to bang for, like, half an hour. Why do you have to ruin everything? That's not what she said. That's what I said. Oh, that was another thing I was desperately trying to care about. I was like, Garibaldi, I care about your happiness, but, like, I super don't want to watch you make out with this woman, even though I love her, because she keeps kicking people in the face, and because there's that scene where some soldiers are dicks to Delenn, and then you saved her, without even knowing that she was, you know, an ambassador. You were just like, random lady. What else? Oh, there was something great Delenn said. I tried to write it down. I might not have written it down exactly, but she was talking to Sheridan. His name is Sheridan. And I still ship it, by the way. And she was all like, well, they were talking just kind of casually about the Narn versus Centauri thing and how they're trying to get him to have peace talks, but Londo and Jakar refuse to talk to each other. And she said, we are all slaves to our histories. If there is to be a bright future, we must learn to break those chains. And I was like, Delenn, love you. You were full of wise wisdom. Let's see. Oh, I made one other note, which was butts. This show is hilarious to me because they don't swear, which is fine. But sometimes the word butt just sounds hilarious. And I mean butt like ass. When normal people would say ass in many of these situations, like, come on, you've got this drill sergeant character. You really think why would his language be so clean? Butts. Maybe in the future, butt is like a super crazy swear word. I don't know. Whatever, that's my story. So that one was okay, but I'm just hoping, whatever, can't win them all, I guess.